Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the second video on NCERT Class 10 Chapter 4 Quadratic Equation, and in this video I'm going to discuss how to find the roots of a quadratic equation by factorization. So I'm going to solve exercise 4.2. Okay, the first question. It is to find the roots of the quadratic equation by factorization. Now let us first try to understand what is root of a quadratic equation. Roots, what is known as roots? Now we know that a quadratic equation will always be in the form ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So a quadratic equation is always of this form. Okay, then x is your variable here. X equals to alpha. Here x is your variable. Choose any value of x, so say alpha. X equals to alpha will be called as a root of this equation if it satisfies your equation. If x equals to alpha satisfies your given quadratic equation, then this alpha will be called as the root of the quadratic equation. Now let me give you one example, as simple example. Okay, consider a quadratic equation 3x squared minus x minus 10 equal to 0. And I'm going to substitute x as 2. Then in that case your equation becomes 3 times 2 squared minus x is your 2, and then we have minus 10 is equal to 0. 3 into 4 minus 2 minus 10 is 0. 12 minus 2 minus 10 is 0. 12 minus 2, 10. 10 minus 10, 0, 0 equal to 0. So since x is equal to 2 satisfies your given equation, given quadratic equation, so x equals to 2 will be called as a root of your quadratic equation. For a quadratic equation, okay, there can be at the most 2 roots. Alright? For a quadratic equation, there can be at the most 2 roots. So there is a method of finding out the roots of a quadratic equation. The first method that we are going to learn is factorization, which is given in exercise 4.2 of your NCERT book. So root means the value of the variable. Okay, if your quadratic equation is x squared plus bx plus c equal to 0, here x is your variable. So the value of the variable, so the value of x, which satisfies your given quadratic equation, will be known as the root of your quadratic equation. So question number 1, I'm going to write the question with the help of your NCERT book. Find the roots of the following quadratic equations by factorization. Find the roots of the following quadratic equations by factorization. Now Roman number 1, we have your given equation is x squared minus 3x minus 10 equal to 0. Now let us solve this by factorization. Factorization, we can do it by the method of splitting the middle term. Right? Splitting the middle term, very simple. Here the coefficient of x squared is 1. Okay, coefficient of x squared is 1. And here your constant term is minus 10. Forget about the sign here. Okay, constant term is minus 10. Forget about the sign. And you consider only the numerical value. Consider only the numerical value. Means here coefficient of x is minus 3. but we'll take the numerical value 3 only. Constant term is minus 10, but we will take it to be 10 only, okay? Just consider only the numerical values. Coefficient of x squared is 1, coefficient of x is minus 3, but we'll take it as 3 only. Constant term is minus 10, but we'll take it as 10 only, okay? Just consider the numerical values. Now you multiply the coefficient of x squared and the constant term. That will be known as your product. That will be known as your product. Coefficient of x squared is 1 and the constant term is minus 10, but you consider only the numerical value, then we have 10. Then the product of 1 and 10 will be 10. Now the middle term. What is the coefficient of the middle term? Coefficient of middle term is minus 3. But you just take only the numerical value. So the coefficient of x, the coefficient of the middle term is minus 3. But if we consider only the numerical value, it's 3. So that middle term, coefficient of the middle term will be known as your sum. Coefficient of the middle term will be known as your sum, but taking only the numerical value. Now you factorize the product 10. 2, 5 times is 10. Every step you stop and check. You either add these two factors or subtract these two factors so that you get 3. 5 plus 2 gives you 7, which is not 3. But 5 minus 2 gives you 3. 5 minus 2 gives you 3. In that case, this quadratic equation can be written as x squared. See, we have not considered minus, right? You just write this minus as it is. Okay, just write minus as it is. And instead of this middle term 3x, I can write 5x minus 2x. Alright? See, the product 10 has been factorized, okay, in the form 2, 5 times is 10. Here 2 and 5 are the factors. You are going to add these two factors or subtract these two factors so that you get the sum 3. Only if we subtract the factors, we get 3. So in that case, x squared, this minus you leave as it is, and instead of middle term 3x, you are going to write 5x minus 2x, so that 5x minus 2x is 3x, this minus sign, okay, kept as it is, and then we have minus 10 as the constant term and equal to 0. X squared multiplying by negative sign to both of these terms, minus 5x, minus minus plus 2x, and then we have minus 10 equal to 0. Now we have 4 terms, you can make them into pairs. From the first 2 pairs we have x common, then x minus 5. We have plus here, so I'm going to write plus. From the next pair we have 2 common, then we get x minus 5. Now from the remaining terms also there is x minus 5 in common, right? So if I take x minus 5 as common, then from the first term we have x. From the remaining term we will have 2 equal to 0. So what do we get? Product of 2 terms is 0, means either your first term is 0 or your second term is 0. This gives you x as plus 5, this gives you x as minus 2. Therefore, the roots of your quadratic equation are 5 and minus 2. This method of finding the roots of a quadratic equation is known as factorization. Now let's proceed with the second one. With the help of your NCERT textbook, I'm going to write the question. Roman 2, 2x squared plus x twice x squared plus x minus 6 is 0. Here 2x squared plus x means coefficient is 1, so 1x minus 6 is 0. Okay. Here your coefficient of x squared is 2. And the constant term is minus 6. But we will consider only the numerical value. Okay. So the product means we'll find out the product of coefficient of x squared and the constant term, which is minus 6, but we take only the numerical value. 2 6 times is 12. Now, sum we take the coefficient of the middle term. Your middle term is 1x, the coefficient of x is 1, so your sum will be 1. Now your product is 12. We'll factorize this 12 into two numbers. 2, 6 times is 12. 6 plus 2 is not going to give us 1. 6 minus 2 is 4, which is not equal to 1. So we factorize more. 2, 3 times is 6. Now you see, 2 times is 4. These two factors together. 4 minus 3 is going to give us 1, and 4 times 3 is going to give us 12, right? So this middle term can be splitted as twice x squared. We have plus here, so you write plus. So this middle term 1x can be splitted as 4x minus 3x. Alright? And then we have minus 6 is equal to 0. Now let's remove the bracket. Plus 4x plus minus 3x minus 6 equal to 0. From the first two terms, okay, there are 4 terms, you can make them into pairs. From the first pair, we have x in common, we have 2 in common. So we take 2x common, then from 2x squared, if you take 2x common, then we will have only 1x. From 4x, if you take 2x, then we will have only 2x times 2 is 4x, right? If this is negative, you write negative. If this is positive, you write positive. Since this is negative, I'm writing negative. From the next pair, we have 3 common. From 3x, if you take 3, we'll have only x. We need a negative here, so minus plus gives you minus. We have taken minus common, right? If we take minus common, this minus will become plus. 3 2 times is 6. Now from all of these terms, we have x plus 2 in common. X plus 2 in common. So taking x plus 2 common, what do we have? Taking x plus 2 common, we have 2x left out. Taking x plus 2 common, we have minus 3 left out. So what do we get? Product of two terms, first term, second term, product of two terms is 0. Means either your first term is 0 or your second term is 0. Here this gives you x as minus 2. This gives you twice x is equal to plus 3. So x will be 3 upon 2. So the roots of your equation are minus 2 and 3 upon 2. That completes Roman 2. Now we proceed to Roman number 3. Roman number 3, we have square root of 2 times x squared plus 7x plus 5 square root of 2 equal to 0. We will proceed as we have done the previous two questions. Square root of 2 times x squared plus 7x plus 5 square root of 2 equals to 0. Now let's find out the product. The product of coefficient of x squared and the constant term. Coefficient of x squared is square root of 2 and the constant term is 5 square root of 2. If we multiply, square root of 2 times square root of 2 is 2. So 2 into 5 is 10. Product is 10. Now let's see the sum. Sum means we take, for the sum we take the coefficient of the middle term. Middle term is 7x. Coefficient is 7. So sum is 7. Now we factorize the product. 2 5 times is 10. 5 plus 2 gives us 7. So square root of 2x squared plus, instead of 7x, I'm going to write it as 2x plus 5x, because 2x plus 5x gives you 7x. And then we have 5 square root of 2 equal to 0. Let's remove this bracket. Square root of 2 times x squared plus 2x, plus and plus is only plus. And then 5 square root of 2 is 0. Now, there are 4 terms, we can make them into pairs. We can make them into 2 pairs. From the first pair, we have x in common. Now, remember that 2 can be rewritten as square root of 2 times square root of 2, right? This 2 can be written as square root of 2 times square root of 2. So we have 1 square root of 2 in common, we have 1 x in common. So we take 1 square root of 2 and x as common. Then if we take square root of 2 and x as common, from the first term we will have only x. 2 means 2 square root of 2, right? We have 2 square root of 2. Already we have taken 1 square root of 2, so we will have another square root of 2. X we have already taken common, so that's it. From the next two terms, we have 5 common. Then if we take 5 common, we have x. If we take 5 common, we have square root of 2 equals to 0. Now from the overall term, we have x plus 2 in common. X plus 2 root square root of 2 in common. So if we take x plus square root of 2 in common, then from this term, we have square root of 2 times x. From the remaining term, we have 5. Okay. So product of two terms is 0, means either your first term is 0 or your second term is 0. This gives you x to be minus square root of 2. This gives you square root of 2x equals to minus 5. So your x will be minus 5 upon square root of 2. So x equals to minus square root of 2 and x equals to minus 5 upon square root of 2 are the required roots of your quadratic equation. Now let's see with Roman number 4, the fourth one. Okay, there are 5 questions altogether. The fourth one solution, the fourth one is twice x squared minus x plus 1 by 8 equals to 0. Here your constant term is 1 by 8. I don't want anything to be expressed in fraction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take LCM and then cross multiply so that you do not have any fractions in your equation. So LCM is 8. Here the denominator is 1. So 8 divided by 1 is 8. 8 2 times is 16. Similarly, we have 8x. And 8 divided by 8 is 1. 1 times numerator 1 is 1. 0. 0 means we can write 0 upon 1 if you cross multiply. 16x squared minus 8x plus 1 equals to 8 times 0 is 0. Now your equation is free from fractions. Now we proceed with the product now. Product of coefficient of x squared and the constant term. 16 1 times is 16. S means sum. Sum means we take the coefficient of the middle term. Coefficient of the middle term is minus 8. But we take only the numerical value, which is 8. Now let us factorize the product. 4 times is 16. 4 plus 4 is 8. Now this becomes 16x squared. This minus as it is. Minus as it is. And then 8x can be split as 4x plus 4x. And then we have plus 1 equals to 0. 16x squared minus 4x minus plus gives you minus, and then 4x plus 1 equal to 0. Now we have 4 terms altogether. From the first, we have 4 terms altogether. Okay, these 4 terms you can make them into pairs. From the first pair, we have 4 in common, we have x in common, so 4x is common. 4 times is 16. From x squared we took x, so 1 more x minus the next term is 4x. Since we have taken 4x as common, we have only 1. 4x times 1 is 4x. This is minus, so we write minus. From the next two terms there is no common, so we take 1 as common, and 4x minus is plus, and 1 is equal to 0. So from these terms 4x minus 1 is common. So 4x minus 1 is common. So from this term, from this whole term, if you take 4x minus 1 is common, then we have only 4x. From this whole term, if you take 4x is common, then we have minus 1. So product of two terms is 0, means either first term is 0 or your second term is 0. This gives you 4x to be equal to 1, so x is 1 by 4. Here we have 4x is equal to 1, so x will be 1 by 4. So in this case we have two equal roots. Okay, roots is 1 by 4 and 1 by 4. So in this case we have two equal roots, that is 1 by 4. Now let us go for the fifth one, Roman number 5 of question number 1. The last question of question number 1, that is 100x squared minus 20x plus 1. 100x squared minus 20x plus 1 equals to 0. We proceed as usual. We find the product of coefficient of x squared and the constant term. Coefficient of x squared is 100. Constant term is 1. So the product is 100. Sum, we take the coefficient of the middle term. Coefficient of the middle term is minus 20. Consider only the numerical value 20. Okay. Now let's factorize the product. 250 times is 100. 50 and 250 minus 2 is not 20. 50 plus 2 is not 20. So we go for more. 225 times is 50. We go for more. 5 times is 25. Now let us rearrange. 5 2 times is 10. Another 5 2 times is 10. 10 plus 10 times 10 plus 10 gives you 20. So 100x squared, this minus as it is. So this 20x can be split as 10x plus 10x. And then we have plus 1 equals to 0. So 100x squared minus 10x minus plus minus 10x plus 1 equal to 0. So we have 4 terms. We can make them into 2 pairs, each pair containing 2 terms. From the first pair we have 10 in common and x in common, so we take 10x as common. Then 10 times is 100, x times x is x squared, correct? Next term is 10x, but we have taken 10x common, so 10x 1 times is 10x. This is minus, so we write minus. From the next two from the next pair containing 2 terms, we do not have any common, so we take 1, then 10x. Minus gives you plus, and then 1 equals to 0. Now we see that we have 10x minus 1 in common, right? See? This term contains 10x minus 1. This term also contains 10x minus 1. So 10x minus 1 common. If we take 10x minus 1 as common, then we have 10x here. Minus if we take 10x minus 1, then we have 1 over here. So product of 2 terms is 0, means either your first term is 0 or your second term is 0. This gives you 10x to be 1. So x is 1 by 10. This also gives you 10x to be 1. So x is 1 upon 10. Correct? All right. So that's the end of question number 1. Okay, so we have found out the roots of the given quadratic equations by factorization.